was the one out there riding professionally. I was the one following in our dad's footsteps. Right in the middle of my dream run. My little brother races past and leaves me in his dust.
Oh, yes, he did.
Jockey of the Year for a record 4th time, Damien Oliver.
Dad, this is for you.
The Melbourne Cup still astonishes people. It is still the race that stops a nation, and for that matter, the entire racing world.
A horse is a creature of habit. Any deviation in a horse's training will have a significant impact.
You're the one who can get the most out of my horse.
It's a great story, and great stories make great movies. It's that simple, a very rich, emotional story with an ending that everyone knows, but it still works. It's a great ending to a movie.
And Stephen, what was it about the Damien Oliver character that made you want to do it?
Look, it's a story that is familiar to most Australians. You know, in particular, I guess the image of Damien going past the post in 2002 on Media Puzzle, but the story, the backstory there is so much more involved than most people, and indeed myself, even realised. But having done a lot of research into it and met Damien and spoken to him at great length about it, it's a story that I think really has to be told.
So what was your preparation like leading up to it? So you spent a bit of time with Damien, and obviously your fitness regime changed.
Yep. Thank you. Very diplomatic. Yes. No, look, it was good. I did. I spent a lot of time with Damien, and he was very generous in the time that he devoted to this, and allowed us to, basically, I guess, get inside his head, and he was so generous to, to dredge up what are some pretty horrible memories for he and his entire family.
Yeah, we were sort of prying into his life and in a very intimate way, and tough for the family, but luckily he decided we were the people to make the film with, because I think the story was irresistible to filmmakers.
Yeah, and you've done a few films with animals now, like you've done Man for Snow River, you did Far Lap, which was one of my favourite films growing up. I reckon I watched it about 50 times. Yeah, same. And no, I just loved that film, and it made me, like, I read the book after watching that film, and then I liked horses from there onwards. So yeah, it's all you really. And then you go and shoot a killer whale. Well, not shoot, but
film a killer whale. Yeah.
Film a killer whale. So you've got a fascination with working with animals.
Yeah, and it comes more out of animal stories are usually very emotional. I mean, look at the success of Red Dog. There's a great animal story that's emotional, but it's also about human beings and how humans interact with animals, and I'm drawn to emotional stories.
Well, that's it. And yeah, Man for Snow River, that one shot when he's going down the side of the hill, like that's...
Yeah, I can't claim credit for that, because I was the executive producer. I didn't direct that film. George Miller did, but who was a good buddy of mine from when we worked together at Crawford Productions many years ago. But it was 3 years of my life, and George came up with a concept of how we could do that shot, because that's the moment that had to be delivered in that film.
And how much is that angle cooked? This is a matter of great debate.
The hill is that steep, and it's Tom Burlinson riding the horse.
Oh, it is, right. So they don't just slightly just turn
you saw Tom Burlinson ride very well.
I've seen Tom Burlinson can ride.
In the Cup.
I'll give him that much.
Ask Stephen about riding.
Well, I was about that. That was my next question. So, Stephen, obviously you had to get into a horse. Had you gotten onto a horse prior to this?
No, not really. I very briefly in a television series in the early 90s, I got on a horse once. I'd lied in the audition, telling them that I could ride a horse.
As one does.
Well, yeah, they said, can you ride a horse? Tick yes or no. May as well say, do you want the job? Tick yes or no. So I ticked yes. But luckily I got to play a drunk kid on a horse, so that went quite well. But when I asked Simon if I could just play a drunk kid on a horse throughout the entire Cup, he said no. So we learnt that Simon has some horses up at his property in the Yarra Valley, just outside of Melbourne, and it was great. Got to spend a couple of years just going up there every now and then, and getting on a few different horses and falling off a few different horses, and I tell you what, I look a lot cooler getting on them than I do getting off them.
Actually, I will say though, I remember the first day Stephen's instructor, Stuart Benson, and myself riding one of my other horses, and Steve, we took him for his first gallop, and after the gallop he said, "Now I get it," because he was so excited, you know, that he'd achieved that. And that's a hard thing to do, you know, galloping flat chat across a paddock, and he got the buzz.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it is. It's amazing. It was just such an adrenaline rush, just getting up to a full gallop. And you realise, you know, as much as these guys are completely in control of their horses, I was pretty much being led by mine. But no, it was... It was fantastic. It was a really invaluable experience and a great one to be a part of.
That's it. Now, just getting back to the weight loss for a second, I just want to... How did you manage that? Like, I'm a big guy, so I might be able to get some notes.
With difficulty.
Yeah, with great difficulty. Look, it just takes... I guess it just... you know, I had a very important thing to focus on, which was this, and I wanted to get it right, and part of it was making sure that I looked right, and I guess it's just about exercise, and it's a bit boring, but no carbs. No carbs. Okay, carbs are evil. And you know, just being diligent and sticking to the very strict diet.
So once shooting finished, what was the first thing you did?
Beer and kebabs. And then the next night was beer and McDonald's, and then just beer. Just put the word beer, and then put words that you're not meant to eat afterwards, and that was basically 3 weeks after the shoot.
And you also have Brendan Gleeson playing Dermot. He's fantastic in everything. What was it like when you approached him for the film?
Well, I arranged a hookup between, you know, his agent, between Brendan and myself, and we talked about the script and the story, and he said, "Simon, just one thing." Pardon the appalling Irish accent I'm doing. There's just one thing. He said, "I just want to talk to you a little bit about the Irish dialogue." And I sort of laughed and said, "Brendan, the Irish dialogue is written by an American and an Australian who think they understand how Irish people speak, you know?"
Yeah. Apparently they don't say, to be sure, and every line ended with fiddle-dee potatoes, which had to go. That just had to go. It was ridiculous.
412, overacting.
Sorry.
No, look, Brendan is one of the world's great actors, and we were privileged to have him. And the reason that he chose to do the film in the end, he said, when asked by one of the media just before he started filming, they said, "Well, why did you decide to come to Australia and make this film?" And he said, "You know, when I read the script," he said, "there was no cynicism, there was no sarcasm. There's no protagonist. You know, everyone comes out of the movie in a positive way." And I think that's what drew him to the project, and good on him, because it was a privilege working with someone who works at the kind of level that he does, and also a delightful human being. And sadly, very sadly, Stephen convinced him to become a Collingwood supporter.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I was going to ask, were you an Eagle supporter as well? Or?
In the film, I'm an Eagle supporter. In real life, I'm a Collingwood supporter, and Brendan Gleeson now has his own scarf, and he sent me an email recently saying, "How are my pies?" So I've got him hooked.
And so obviously Damien and Dermot had a pretty close relationship around those weeks around the incident.
They did, and look, Dermot was very understanding of his situation, and he just knew that Media Puzzle was actually a very difficult horse, and Damien just, you know, understood the horse and sort of got it, and one of the reasons that he chose to ride, not only to honour his brother, but because he was really impressed with the track work he'd done on the horse, and also his win at Geelong.
Okay. And what was it like working with Brendan?
Oh, it was great. He's an absolute gentleman and a really, really funny bloke, and as we say, a brilliant actor, a great man to actually just observe and learn from, and a great man to go out with and have a good old-fashioned chinwag and a laugh. So and a jar or two, and cheer on our beloved football team. But no, just a fantastic bloke, and you know, for a man with that body of work, I mean, that's an astonishing body of work that he's got. You know, it's a real testament to him that he's managed to kind of fly under the radar a little bit in terms of, you know, he's not your celebrity. He's just a man who kind of, as you say, is brilliant in every role that he does, and is a go-to man for basically filmmakers all around the world, and he will be for, you know, a long time to come. Yeah,
there's another great movie that went under the radar called The Green Zone too, where he played American CI guy. Just, you know, he's just wonderful in everything he does.
Did he bring his fiddle with him?
He didn't actually. I was hassling about that because I've got a couple of Irish friends who reckon they drink at the same pub that he's always drunk in, and that he was infamously always in there playing the fiddle with his various family members and friends. But he didn't bring the fiddle out for us.
No.
Well, thanks very much for talking to us, and good luck with the opening.
Bloody-tastic.
The horse is unstoppable.
With the right jockey, maybe a puzzle could win the Melbourne Cup.
Let's see what you got.
Oh my God. Please, not again. Your dad? Now, Jason, when's it going to be your turn?
What don't I just chuck it in?
I know you'll get through it. It's in your blood.
Sometimes being a champion isn't about winning. It's about gutsing it out.
Your family's not cursed.
He's not the same man who won at Geelong.
I believe he's the only man to ride that horse in the Cup.
But you'll be riding with me always.
An international audience of around 700 million.
When you race for the Cup, I don't believe you'll be riding alone.
You've got something very special, Damien. But your heart has got to be in it, you know?
Roadshow.
Damien Oliver riding with the spirit of Jason.
This one's for Jason. You gotta remember, anything can happen. It's the Melbourne Cup.